This is the most exciting time to be alive, ever, in human history. Especially for those of us working in the blockchain space. It is so much fun, I can't tell you. I started my career during the dot-com boom. I was working for this technology publisher named Ziff Davis. And they published computer magazines like PC Magazine, you might remember those. For those of you who weren't around during that time, magazines were these stacks of colored paper that were sold in these things called bookstores. And I was right at ground zero during the dot-com revolution at a technology publisher. It was so exciting, it was so much fun, there was so much energy, and I never thought I would be lucky enough to experience it again. But if anything, the blockchain revolution is more fun, it's more exciting, there's more money, there's more talent, there's more innovation, and it's moving so much faster than the dot-com revolution. You have to get involved if you're not already. So now, I'm the executive publisher of Bitcoin Market Journal. We have a team of analysts and journalists that rate and review blockchain projects. So what we're doing is making the world of new finance accessible to everyday investors. New finance is Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and initial coin offering. So the problem, thank you Chuck, is how do you know what to invest in this new space that's moving so fast? And what I'm going to show you tonight is new technology we've developed, a new method for rating initial coin offerings. How many of you know what an initial coin offering is? Maybe 25%. So, I think of it as the intersection of a startup, a Kickstarter campaign, and an initial public offering. So like a startup, what you're doing is investing in a new blockchain product or company. All right, you're funding this new venture, but it's also kind of like a Kickstarter project in that the founder or entrepreneur is crowdsourcing and everybody is buying into this. And it's a little bit like an initial public offering in that you're buying a token, and a token is a little bit like a share of stock. To be clear, it's not a share. You don't own a company, but you do own this token that will rise and fall in value according to what the market will pay for it. So here's how you actually invest in an ICO. You do your due diligence using a site like Bitcoin Market Journal. You find one that you really like. You usually buy Bitcoin or Ether, and then you send it to an address. And then after a few weeks, that is converted into the new token, and that token can then be traded on public exchanges. And so folks buy these tokens in hopes of selling them quickly, flipping them for a profit, or we recommend investing in the long term in projects that you really believe in. So this is the money slide. Take a picture and share this. This shows you of the 1,000 ICOs, nearly 1,000 that we have reviewed, how much they earn on average. So founders are raising, on average, $12.5 million for the average ICO. And you can see that the majority raised between $1 and $10 million. Now the average Series A venture capital raise is about $5 million. So $5 million versus $12.5 million. And you can understand why this is so attractive for founders and entrepreneurs. The other highlight here is this giant blue half that were unreported. So those are ones that our analysts have gone out and said, how much did you raise? And they never responded. So our read on that is a lot of these are failing as well. But of those that publicly report, it's $12.5 million. All right, does that make sense? Yeah? Good? All right, trying to get a read here on the room. All right. So here's how investors should value ICOs. They should think like a VC and ask all the questions. But how they actually value ICOs is they're easily fooled by things like founders that come from well-known companies or have important-sounding titles. So how do you know which ICOs, which cryptocurrencies to invest in? So I just co-authored this paper with the Harvard economist Navroop Sadev, and basically we came up with this framework for valuing tokens. And the idea here is that for ICOs, or for tokens, we can break down 5 separate things that we should be looking at and analyzing like a VC. And then we have questions that you ask within each of these. And each of these then is scored from 1 to 5. So for example, this is under token mechanics. We ask things like, will it be traded on a public exchange? Or do they have a minimum viable
minimum viable product. And you rate these from 1 to 5, these roll up into an average, and then each of these heuristics or each of these categories are rolled up into a final rating. We take this rating, and we put this on our website. This is our upcoming ICOs page, and this is publicly updated. It's up to the minute with that rating, and then you can click through to any of these, and you can see exactly how we rated it. We don't reveal all of the secret sauce behind that, but this is essentially our rating methodology, and we find that it correlates well with how much these ICOs actually raise. And the great thing about this platform that we've built is we can constantly be tweaking that special sauce behind the scenes to make sure that what we're showing you really is predictive or does help determine what is going to raise well.
The early days of the stock market were also very exciting because during that time there were entrepreneurs like Dow Jones and Charles Schwab who realized that the market needed good, reliable, trustworthy information to help investors understand these new emerging markets. And that is the opportunity before us today. These guys built dynasties. They built legends that still exist today. And that's what we're doing at Bitcoin Market Journal. I'm John Hargrave, and I thank you for your time. We have these ICO Manifestos over here. So this is ICO Manifesto for founders on one side. So if you're thinking of doing an ICO, this will tell you how much you need to raise and how it works. And on the other side is ICO Manifesto for investors. So this tells you how to go about making good decisions and best practices for investing in these new investing opportunities. We cannot print these fast enough, so that table will be gone by the end of the night, and that's all I have. But you're welcome to come over and grab one afterwards. I can take a couple questions. Yes?
Do you publicly recommend certain ICOs, or is it more of an advisor?
So the question is, do we publicly recommend ICOs, or are we just advising? Is that the question? Yeah, well, we give the score that I just showed, and you make your own decisions from there. Yes, ma'am?
How do you know it's right?
How do we know it's right?
Yeah.
How do we know what is right?
Your assessment of the technical.
How do we know that the score is accurate?
Correct.
Yeah, so we're constantly looking at that score, and the great thing is we have all this information historically on nearly 1,000 ICOs to date. And so we can make sure that the weighting of those different heuristics that I showed you is going to most closely correlate with how much those ICOs have actually raised. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Yes?
In the current regulatory framework, are ICOs regarded as sales of a product or some kind of a prepaid gift card, or are they an investment product that's regulated by SEC and has stricter rules?
So the question is, in the current regulatory environment, how are ICOs treated by the SEC? And the short answer is it's complicated. Next question. Yes?
I've never heard of a journal for Bitcoin, or how are you going to make yourself stand out? It's so new. If you have people that don't know what ICOs are, how do you make them get to Bitcoin Market?
So the question is, how are we going to get people to read and to build a brand? I'm doing it right now, baby. I'm going to share with you my passion about this space and how exciting it is and how you should come join us. What do you do?
Actually, I've worked for a CEO report. It's a website we report on small and mid-sized businesses, essentially.
So you report on small and mid-sized business. So you're like a journalist? You're in the media industry? So you should come join us. You should come join us. I'm being serious. We have such a need right now in the blockchain space for everything. No matter what you do, whether you're a developer, if you're a marketer, if you're into legal, if you're creative, you're a videographer, we need you. We need you, and this space is moving so fast and it's so exciting that you have to come join us. We just opened a new blockchain incubator space called Genesis Block, which is at 1 Beacon Street. It's in conjunction with WeWork, and it's so much fun. We're having such a blast out there. So come join us. You can come for a day,
you can come forever, if you like. That's my time. Thank you.
you.